So hi guys, good morning guys. I hope you're all doing well. This is a very fine Monday afternoon. My name is Geoffrey. The majority of guys know me as Wall Street Papi. So welcome to this weekly outlook with me. As you get to look at what opportunities you're looking out for what various opportunities you're looking out for uh, across the various trading instruments this week. So welcome on board, guys, as we get to start off. Now, I launched off a workspace on Notion where I will be sharing weekly, more of like weekly. I don't want to call it a newsletter, but it's more of weekly updates. It's known as the Chess Capital Weekly Market Intelligence, I will be sharing it out every either Sunday or Monday. So the market model is majorly or specifically for exclusively for the members, of which I'm gonna share with guys this evening. So the session I'm gonna be having this evening with the members. Then these the weekly market intelligence is majorly for the general public. So all these on Motion, or these all these on Notion, and these my personal workspace. All right, these my personal workspace on Notion, but I'm able to share these just segments that I feel that traders will really get a lot of insights from. So that is why I have done it like that. So you can see what I have here for the week of 24th of Feb, which is now the week from starting today, and tomorrow is 24th of Feb. So you can see there is the fundamentals right here. Then you can see the technicals. Now, when I'm doing these technicals for these newsletter specifically, right, or for the, let's call it the market intelligence. So for the weekly market intelligence, I will be putting it in short form. All right. So for the guys who understand how my strategy goes in terms of supply and demand, you'll easily be able to understand it and get grasp of my key levels of interest, my bias or sentiments across the various pairs, and you'll be able to understand what it is I'm looking out for. Right. So for you to be able to get a grasp of these, you need to be able to understand how I usually look at markets in terms of supply and demand, right? So that you're able to understand acronyms like the DBD, the RBR, such acronyms, you can be able to understand them when you're reading these reports, right? So I have this prepared. I'll also share it with members of the community. Um, in the evening session, right? I'll share these with the members of the community in the evening session. But so far, it's already even out both on my platforms. You can easily check it out on Instagram. You can easily find it even on WhatsApp. I've shared it out. But this is now the start of something that I am doing, something that I am bringing to the trading space that I feel will be very important. So it's a series, or it's a sequence of things that I'm doing all together. All right. So this is on the weekly market intelligence. All right. This you can see this is the Chess Capital HQ. This is the weekly market intelligence. Now let's come to what we are anticipating now in terms of the technical side of things. Let's see what it is we are looking out for. So right here is the blog. I released a video on introduction to supply and demand. I had quite a bit of requests on how to do supply and demand. So I did that video on supply and demand. It is right there on the blog. You can also find it on YouTube. So just feel free to go check it out and you will get to find it right there. All right. So we have that. Let's look at what it is you're expecting on the technical side of things. So the fundamentals, I have them here. So we have the AUD CPI, President Donald Trump speech on Wednesday. We have the US unemployment claims on Thursday. Then the CAD GDP release and the US core PPI release will be happening on Friday. Right. So starting on the technical side of things, you can see this is GBP USD. So for GBP USD, this is what you had. So remember, the moment price broke below this area here, this is a very key area this is a previous supply. Okay, this is a previous supply. When it was broken, price rallied all the way to the highs of 1.38500, then came back and retested it as demand. And now this demand was the origin of the rally to these highs, right? So we had that was more of a minor range. Now, the moment price came back to this demand again, it raced a bit, then eventually it has broken below that demand and formed a lower low. Right. So what we are anticipating to see, or what you're seeing now, is a retest of the broken supply. I mean, a retest of the broken demand as a new supply before potential continuation of the drop lower. So the first area of interest will be the levels of 1.3400 based off these lows. And then the next area of interest is price coming all the way down to the areas of 1.33500 areas. All right. So for the full range to be filled. Now, why the full range? Because now this demand area here, you can see this demand, the number of times price has tapped into this demand. This demand has been the origin, has been the major origin of this whole rally all the way to these highs right here. So the major range that we are working with is from this demand right here all the way to these highs up here, all right? And then now back to this demand like that. That is now the major range that you're working with, all right? Now, for those of us who really understand the dynamics of supply and demand, and you know we've previously talked about this before, you understand the concepts of market ranges. So market ranges usually explains how orders are formed and filled in the market. So majority of traders really just look at the candles. You know, you're looking for the candlesticks and candlestick patterns. Thing like you're looking for dojis. You're looking for I don't know what type of candles. What we are looking out for is the ranges. We are looking out for has the range that has been formed. Has the range been formed? Has the range been filled? Then the next thing you're looking out for is now what is the what is the order flow we are looking at in this area here. Currently, we are in a bearish bias. We are looking at a bearish continuation scenario. So the next thing we are looking out for is potential sells on these pair. Right? Unless price comes and breaks above this area and invalidates the setup, currently we are still in bearish regions. All right. So we're still in bearish regions for that. Then that is on GBP USD. Then let's have a look at USD CHF. So here is USD CHF. So price dropped into a very major demand. All right. And this major demand is based off the, just a second, this major demand is based off. Just a second. So, yeah. So this major demand. All right, this is a demand on the, I don't know why they keep doing this. Anyway, so this is a demand on the 4 hour and the daily time frame. All right, these are very key area of this is a very key area of demand. And you can see these on the 4 hour and the daily time frame. The areas of 0.76550 and 0.76140 areas. So what we are looking at is price dropped into a very major demand, right? Then we had a push to the upside, a retest, then a strong push all the way to 0.78 thousand. Then price dropped back into this demand. This demand has held. You have multiple rejections with candle close above the zone. Then you see a strong push again to the upside. And what I'm anticipating to see is price rallying to these highs of 0.78 thousand. That being the first area of interest, then the next area of interest is price coming all the way to these areas of 0.78590 areas, close to 0.78600 areas. Now, based off the fact that these were previously broken demand. So it has not any time been retested as a new supply before a potential continuation of the drop lower. So that means the next time price comes to this area, expect high supply imbalance at this area here, right? Because now this becomes a fresh level of supply, all right? So we have that on USD CHF, and you can see these on the 4 hour time frame. If I zoom out like this, you can see the aspect that I'm talking about. Anytime price reacted from this demand, you can see this demand has been a very key area of interest for quite a while, since last year in July, right? So the moment it was broken, there was no retest. So definitely the time price comes back to this area, because I'm looking at the major range is price coming back to these areas of 0.78, 590, 600 areas, then I will expect these to act as a very key area of supply, all right? I will anticipate to see these act as a very key area of supply. So you have that. Let's wait and see how price gets to react to these. That is on USD CHF. Then let's have a look at USD CAD. Let's have a look at USD CAD. So there is USD CAD. So for USD CAD, my working range has been from these highs here. These highs here, 1.37400, all the way down to these lows, just slightly below at 0.35,000, and back to these highs. That range was filled. Then you had a drop again to these lows, then back to these highs again. That range is filled. So what I'd want to see is, because now we are seeing like a slight push to the downside, I'd want to see, will we see price do something like this? Then the full range gets filled back to this level here. 1.37 for 50 areas. That is what I'm anticipating to see. Or will you see price drop from these areas, considering again, we have these highs, and these highs. So price can easily react and push to the downside like it did. So I'd want to see, will price hold at this area, right? Will price hold at this area, or will you see price push to the upside and come to these areas of 1.37 for 50 before now, a potential bearish reversal? So currently, still looking at it from a bullish trajectory. I don't see how price gets to react to this on USD CAD. Then let's have a look at Euro USD. Euro USD, this is what you have. Again, you can see Euro USD price has pushed back to. We had this area of demand, right? Previously, remember, we had this area of demand. So this was a previous supply, right? This was previously supply. Then when it was broken, price rallied all the way to the highs of 1.20 400. Then came back to retest the broken supply as a new demand. Then we saw price rally to the mid-range. This is the mid-range. The mid-range is the middle of the range. Then price is back at this demand. Now, how market closed last week? Price closed inside this zone. Then you see a push to the upside. Then price is coming back to this area. Now, normally I would, if I am looking at it from like a bearish, from like a standard supply and demand setup, then I will want to see price tap this area, then a push to the upside. This will be a very standard bullish reversal scenario. Right? On top of these, then a very strong bullish reversal. However, from what we are anticipating, that we are probably looking at a potential a slightly stronger dollar. All right. So chances are high we might see price probably pushing deeper into this zone. But I want to see. I really want to see, because if this zone has held, then it will only make sense, or it will only be right looking for potential. It will only be right looking for potential bullish reversal from these levels here. Then you see a strong push to the upside. But let's wait and see. That is because of this demand has held. If this demand had not held, then it will be a better scenario looking for a potential bearish continuation. But as long as this demand has held, then definitely we are looking at a potential bullish reversal until there is an invalidation of this structure here. Right? So we have that. Let's wait and see how price reacts to this. Then we have NZD USD, a well awaited swing. You can see still holding this position. Now this is the third week for these swings of USD, I mean NZD USD. Okay, this is the third week for these swings, right? So let's wait and see how price gets to. Let's wait and see how price gets to react to this. Okay. Now for NZD USD, this is what we have. Okay. For NZD USD, this is what you have. So price filled the major range. Okay. Price filled the major range. Just a second. So price filled the major range all the way back to supply. All right. And the major supply we are working with is a supply on the daily time frame. Okay, so the major supply we are working with is a supply on the daily time frame, and this is the area here. This is that area. So from this supply 0.6750 areas and 0.6500, we have this supply. So the first range from this supply, okay, down to these lows and back to this supply, that range was filled. Then again, you've seen price drop. This was a retest, then price drop all the way to this low, has failed to break this low. So we've been working with the mid range, because now this is the mid range. The full range is all the way back to this demand area down here. Okay, because now the major range is from this demand all the way to this supply. Then from this supply, price coming down back to this demand like that, for that full range to be filled. So currently we are still working within the mid range. So from this supply to these lows and back to this supply, that range is filled. So this is the mid range. I'm still expecting to see a potential bearish push. Unless price holds at these lows, then we see price pushing to the upside back to these supply. But generally, or my general bias is still bearish. I don't see price push to the downside, but that will only happen after price has broken below the mid range and you see price break below the areas of 0.59 for 100 and keep pushing lower. So let's wait and see how price gets to react to this. Then we have I've done USD CHF. Okay, so let's have a look at Euro GBP. Euro GBP, you can see we're still in consolidation at this area, still within the range, the same range from this supply all the way down to this demand, and from this demand all the way back to this supply. That range gets filled. This here is more of consolidation, so there's not really much happening. But as long as this supply holds, definitely we will expect to see a potential bearish reversal at that supply, right? So you don't see a potential bearish reversal at that supply. So let's just wait and see how price reacts to that. Then you have a look at US oil and UK oil, a US oil and a UK oil. So it's just the same pairs that I'm doing here are the ones that are on Notion. All right, the watch list of the week. It's the one that they are on Notion. Finally, this is what you have on UK oil. Now you've remembered for the longest time on UK oil, I've mentioned I'm waiting to see price get to 72, and that was based off this high. For the past like 2 weeks, I have talking about for UK oil. I'm waiting to see price come to, and you can even listen to my previous videos. The evidence and is right there on my previous videos. Look at the last week's midweek market review. Look at last week's market outlook. I mentioned for UK oil, I'm waiting to see price come to 72 because I mentioned that if price does not form a candle close below this area, then this level still stands out to be treated as a breakout, retest, and continuation. So this becomes an RBR scenario, a rally-based rally. So this is a bullish continuation. So, and the next area of interest was meant to be these highs, of which finally that target was hit. So what I'd want to see from this area is probably a slight retracement before now, another strong push to the upside, and the next area of interest is price coming back to the areas of 74.9. So based off this major supply up here, and these are levels on the daily time frame, right? So we have that. The range from these highs all the way down to this demand, then from this demand all the way up to these highs, that range was filled. All right, so we have that. Let's observe and see how price gets to react to that on UK oil. Finally, it has tapped that area of 72. If you listen in the previous week's videos, if you listen to the midweek market review, if you listen to the weekly market outlook, I mentioned about this. And even because I've not finished with the weekly market intelligence on Notion, I'm also going to add these as well because I was doing quite a number of pairs. So but you can still be able to access it even without even if I've not inputted this one, you can still be able to access it. Then it will automatically update. All right, it will automatically update. So that is what you have on UK oil. So you're still quite bullish on this one. All right, still quite bullish. Now that price has gotten 72, what you're seeing is more of just a slight retracement before now, a potential continuation of the rally higher, as we have seen. Then let's have a look at US oil as well, similar. So for US oil, again, we've been working within this range. So the range from this supply to this demand, then from this demand to supply, from supply again to demand, from demand all the way to supply. Now that this supply price at this supply finally, and chances are high, we are not seeing any candle close below this supply like this. The reactions here are candle close inside the zone. So chances are high you might see price get to break above and keep pushing higher because we've been working within that range. If I check out the daily you can see the range that you're filled right there, right? On the daily you can see the range that you're filled. Unless price consolidates at this level, the next area of interest I'd want to see now price if it breaks above is now these highs of 70. These areas, these high here. Just the same way we have for UK oil. The moment you see price break above this, the next area of interest you're looking at price coming to is 70 areas here. Right? Because now the first major range from this supply all the way down to this demand, and from this demand all the way to this supply, that range has been filled. All right. So we have that. Now we are waiting to see if price holds or breaks above that this supply. but chances are high price will get to break above that supply, right? So we have that. Let's wait and see how price gets to react to. Let's wait and see how price gets to react to this. Okay. So we have that on US oil. Then let's have a look at indices, NAS, and let me first do gold and silver, then I do NAS and US 30. So there is gold. Let me have silver here. Ah, nice, 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 nice. Reacting from these levels. So this is what you have. Let me start with gold. And you can see a similarity in what I can already see a similarity in terms of setups from what I have in gold and what I have in silver. Now, if you come to the 4 hour time frame, this is what you have. Remember, previously, even in last week's videos, I had mentioned as long as we are still below this area, as long as we are still below this supply, you are in bearish regions. All right. Now that price has broken above and confirmed now the shift in market structure, I don't want to see a retest, then a continuation of the rally higher all the way back to all-time highs, because this was the mid-range. The full range is from this demand all the way to these highs and back to this demand. That is the full range. But now we have the mid-range in the middle here. Okay. We have the mid-range. We have the mid-range in the middle right here. Okay, so now what I'd want to see is, now that you have the breakout, I'd want to see a slight retracement before a continuation of the rally higher. And the next area of interest is price coming all the way back to these highs up here. Okay, the highs of 55, about 55, 5600 areas. Okay, so I have that on gold, so quite bullish on gold. Then for silver as well, the same kind of scenario. That's why I've mentioned that there's a similarity of setups, because now we have the break above here, because the major range was from this demand all the way to all-time highs of 120 and back to this demand. That range was filled. Each time price has reacted from this demand, pushes up. This demand pushes up. This demand again pushes up. Now that we've broken above, I'm going to see slight retracement before a continuation of the rally higher. And the next area of interest is the levels of probably for those who are having like intermediate targets, the areas of 92. This will be a first target based off these highs of 92. Then the next area of interest is rallying price pushing all the way to the areas of 103.676 areas up here, right? 103.676 areas. So we have that. Okay, so still expecting a potential bullish push to the upside on this one. Let's observe and see how price reacts to this. Then lastly, let's have a look at now the indices NAS and US 30. So I'll have NASDAQ right here. Then I have 30 just next to it right here. There is 30, right? So starting with NAS, there is NASDAQ. So majority part of last week, NASDAQ has been in consolidation. Okay, it has been in quite some consolidation. So we had the breakout. What you were looking out for last week was this was the breakout, this was the retest, a continuation of the drop lower, then prices come back to these again, pushes, comes back to, so if you have been consolidating within this area. Now, as long as price has not broken above this, then we are still in bearish trajectory, and we will see price push to the downside, at least back to these lows of 24,300 areas, back to these lows, right? But in case price fails to hold and breaks above, then there we definitely know that we'll have a shift in market structure. All right. So, but as long as price has held within this area, then we will look out for potential bearish scenario on this one. So this one is more of waiting to observe and see, because now there's a key structure here at 24,500 areas. Within this area, there's a very key structure, right? So we have that. Then lastly, you have one US 30. For US 30, this one is very significant, because you have our range from this demand all the way to the all-time highs at 50,500 and back to this demand. So I don't want to see price drop. I don't want to see a push back to these areas of 48, 836 areas or 850 areas for that range to be filled before now we see a potential, you see a potential bullish reversal like that, right? So we have that. Let's wait and see how price we have that. Let's wait and see how price gets to react to this. Okay. let's forget to see how price let's wait and see how price gets to react to this. Okay. So that's it for me. Those are the pairs that are on my watch list this week. I've not covered crypto because I'm going to cover it in the chats and chill. So right now I've not talked about crypto. I'm gonna cover it in chats and chill. Yeah. So, but I'm also going to be including it into the weekly market intelligence that I'll be sharing it out every week, right? So with that, guys, make sure you take advantage of these. Make sure you take advantage of these outlooks that we get share with you. And we get to look forward to the next, as we get to start of the week, we get to look forward to what unravels or what unfolds as the week progresses on. So definitely I'll do a midweek on Wednesday and I'll share a themed topic on Friday, just like I started with the introduction to supply and demand. And yeah, we keep rolling and we keep scouting for potential opportunities in the market. Now, just like I've mentioned, I'm introducing something very significant for traders, and it's something that stands out. All right. So you will get to see what I'm doing as it gets to unfold. But I mean, it's already started. So clearly, you'll just get to see how things move in a couple of weeks. And yeah, so even as I get to introduce that, making sure that it stands out, something for buy traders. I mean, I am a trader, so it's something by a trader for traders, right? Yeah, and that's just it for me. So, guys, I'd like to wish you all a very amazing week, a very amazing start of your week, and a very productive one as well. So, cheers, everyone. Stay blessed and stay financially literate. Let's catch up on the next one. So, peace out. Cheers, guys.